Hello and welcome to the GBHL podcast. You're here with your host GBHL Jamie, and I've got to apologise for the lateness of this video. Both James and I were at Salute on Saturday, demoing for Dark Souls for Steamforge games, and we didn't get back until midnight, and Sunday was a write-off basically. I know James was feeling very ill at the end of the convention, and to be honest, I slept most of the day, and I'm pretty sure James will have done the same, his day off with Jane. So this is a little bit late. I'm not sure if James is doing one himself, but it's a speak friendly question. So we're going off the phone, so things are out of order, and as if to highlight that fact, one sec. The first question is from Bradley Cobden, and he says, second question. Do you think we could see a model and profile of Girion with the Windlance? I would hope so. And Star Fox here has said, I saw Mr. Trope play with a beautiful Easterling army against a very nice American with a Dale army. And if everything goes to plan, I imagine that we will see it within the 4 years of Adam has been contracted to work on the Middle-earth SPG. We might not see it immediately, as the first book is focused on the missing stuff from the Battle of Five Armies, but Troke is aware that it is missing. Next question comes from Philip Curran. It's quite a long one, so I'm probably going to skip some of the bits out. Melon. I've done a bit of research into the distance covered by the three hunters, and from what I've been able to gather is that they travelled a total of 217 kilometres over the course of 4.5 days, or up to a maximum of 66.6 kilometres per day, moving in haste across woods, stony hills, towns and rolling plains, and carrying all of their gear and basic supplies, which included the remaining waybread from the elves. I guess my question this week is, has GBHL Damien already theorised the three hunters? Surely he must have done by now, what with him being such a Lord of the Ring buff. Theorised by the three hunters? Eh? And there are lots of references as to how far they've travelled. I don't know what you mean by theorised the three hunters. Or theory hammered, maybe how far they've travelled. I don't know what goes on inside Damien's mind, outside of T, Freddo's, and SPG. Next question, sorry I can't be more help there. War is next. He says, I work for Games Workshop exactly around the time when War of the Ring was being released. I loved my time at Games Workshop, and it was a fantastic experience, but it does take a toll on your hobby. You don't stop loving it, but you do get a bit of a hobby burnout, and the biggest thing is you essentially lose your store, as walking in as a client is epic, it's an occasion. But as an employee, it's a different feeling, but the payoff is that I got to run events that were epic. I learned how to become a hobby ambassador, and there are a lot of skills that have enriched my hobby life post Games Workshop. That's very nice to hear. Interesting. War again says, sick background, love the branding too with the mugs and t-shirts. I think since I started watching the GBHL channel, I've pretty much gone all in on SPG. Middle-earth SPG is fantastic, especially as it's 5 letters long, meaning my first knuckle tattoo idea is now finalised, pending the wife's approval. Question to come later, was just too excited and had to comment. Well, I'm glad you're excited, man, and yeah, you could get... No, there's only 4 knuckles. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah. Whoops. Don't get that. Awkward. Next up we got Mike T. He says, hi guys, I'm a great fan of your podcast, and it has been a great encouragement in my return to the hobby after a very, very long break. My question is this. I need to rebuild my paint set from scratch, but the sheer amount of options on the Games Workshop website when it comes to the colours is pretty overwhelming. It also seems they are all named using the 40k franchise, with which I am not familiar. Is there a handful of go-to colours which I will always be using? For a Gondor army probably, like Balkan Metal or Chainmail used to be. Keep up the good work. Give me 1 second. Mithril Silver, and I've forgotten the other one. It's the darker one, the Balkan Metal. You'll need them. Elf Flesh, I don't know what that's changed to. Talon Flesh maybe. think that's what it could be. The Reichland Flesh Wash, some, not Devlin Mud, what's it called? Stirland? No, that's the base thing. As you might be able to see, I'm not very good with my paint knowledge. Oh no, my phone's locked. Ugh. Where was he up to? Oh, it's a shambles. Should have got the laptop out. Yeah, I'll use the cop-out answer for this one. Ask on the GBHL Facebook page. They'll be able to sort you out with paints. I just know my colours. I want that one. Next up, we've got Max L'Enfant. He says, "Hey guys, new subscriber and my first comment. Oh, fantastic, you are in the loop, sir. We've answered your question. Well, I've answered your question this week, so you've got to ask one next week when hopefully James and I'll meet up and we can do this together. I have an Arnor/Grey Company army and I've converted some Gondor warriors into warriors of Arnor. This being done by removing the details on shields and helms and using green stuff to add the headbands and chainmail. Would you say this is acceptable to use, or would it be better getting the official metal Arnor warriors? Oh, pardon me. Although finding an Arnor command group for under £40 is next to impossible. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Cheers, guys." Well, as long as they're clear and you've got no regular warriors of Minas Tirith in your force that they can easily become confused with, then I think that should be okay. If you go into a tournament or anything, just send a picture of it to the TO and they can let you know for certain if they can be used in that event or not. Next up, we've got Daniel Theory. He says, "Hey guys, I'm glad my question incited such an in-depth answer. There seemed to be a great deal of thought put into your explanations, and I found that in my local stomping ground, it's every man and his dog would say, I'd love to work for Games Workshop, without really thinking if it's an ideal for themselves. I feel that I did downplay the success of the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game, as I do remember it was everywhere and especially at my local was played by everyone and in fact was very competitive. Sadly now, not so much. I've always felt that as a gaming system, it was put to one side in favour of 40k constantly, and it wasn't wholly embraced. With all this new information leaking through, my question leads to this. In 1 year's time, how much bigger do you think your backlog will be, assuming you're inspired enough by any and all the new releases? Cheers, guys." I don't think my backlog will be too big, to be honest. As you've seen throughout, well, yeah, I hope you've seen, throughout the years of the channel, I paint my stuff pretty quickly when I get into the flow of things. Painting's pretty much slowed down at the moment though, for me. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what gets released and how enthused I am to paint it. I think as well, just sort of in my room, which you can't see at the moment, you can just see a wall, I can see the room. I've tidied up a lot and have set myself up a painting station, whereas previously this room had gotten quite messy, just with models everywhere and nowhere really having a home. And I've ordered a bunch of, not KR cases, but a similar style of KR case, cardboard and foam, to store all the loose models, because with the new systems I've picked up, I've actually run out of space to put my models away safely, so they all end up on top of the counters. Obviously I've put the painted ones out, the unpainted ones away. If I can get sort of, a painted box, an unpainted box put aside, then I can sort of just make my way through and have some sort of sense of achievement, I guess. Right, let's go find the next question. Who was I just answering? Done that one, Daniel Theory. Cool, John McConnell. I saw that they plan on reprinting the 5 Lord of the Rings Army List books, but I didn't see anything about The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug book, now unavailable in the US. Were there any indications, or do you believe that they will be re-releasing that as well? It's one of the few books that I wasn't able to get so far. I would hope and I would expect them to. They seem very keen on the idea that, and it makes perfect sense, that your players want to play this game but they don't have the resources to do so, we should provide that. So if that's even in the form of a PDF or as a reprint of the book, which would be the perfect solution, then I think Games Workshop and the team will definitely look at doing that. Next up is Nathan Van Thiel. He says, "Appreciate the answer, guys. Another thought I had. If Games Workshop makes some models based on the wraiths we see at the Battle of Five Armies, what would you like to see from their stats? Would you prefer that they just assign the profiles that they already created to the awesome looks that they created for the Nazgul spirit forms, or would you rather they create profiles that are sort of a Diet Nazgul? Diet Nazgul. Diet, I like that. I'll be absolutely ecstatic if they made those into models and wanted some other people to talk profiles. Thanks for some great content. So, what I expect to come of the named wraiths, or the the Castellians, the weaker versions of themselves. They're just in a spirit form. They always are, but in the newly resurrected spirit form, I reckon we'll definitely see more combat-orientated wraiths, but with less or no magic. Pretty much what I would expect to see from the Castellians of Dol Guldur. With the Will of the Necromancer, where they spend time in combat, they get weaker. I would expect them to be still fight 5, maybe fight 6 when the Necromancer's around. That would be a cool little rule, so that way they can beat some of the wizards and whatnot in combat. But you're going to have the deficit of having the Necromancer sat there as well. Limited or no magic, maybe things like Drain Courage, but not Transfix or Compel or Black Dart. Drain Courage and Black Dart would suit them well enough. Transfix and Compel might be a little bit too strong. Yes, that's my ideas for that. JT Noble, you've just sent me a message. I'll get to you very shortly, once this is over. Next question. Where are we up to? Not that way. Nathan Van Til, we've just done that. Okay, next up we've got Evan L. He says, that was a long episode, but great as always, gentlemen. I can't say I ever have a hard time sitting back and getting some painting done while listening to you two. However, I will admit that this is my first question since roughly episode 18 to 26. Jeez, that's a long time ago. If you guys were to build the ultimate Rohan army list for a highly competitive play around 750 points, what would it be and what troops and heroes would fill out your lines? Which heroes would lead who and why, and how would you use this force the way you've built it? I look forward to meeting you both, Tom and Damien, along with heaps of other Middle-earth SPG enthusiasts. I know I myself will be attending both Nova and Ardacon later this year, and cannot wait to see what these large venues do for Middle-earth. Look forward to lots of drinks and laughs with the overly kind Canadians. Thanks from all of us over here, from the Ontario Strategy Battle Gaming League, Evan Woodruff. That's who you are. Okay, yeah, it was a long episode, wasn't it? We didn't think we realised how long it had gone on. We had intended to get some battle reports filmed, but that just took up all the time. As for a Rohan list, I'm sure if James is doing this episode, you get a much better answer from him. But for me, 750 points, I'm not going to go into a real list because I don't have time to, but obviously, Eowyn Knight the Pelennor, Erkenbrand, and Eowyn are your three first heroes you pick for Rohan, as ever, we've said. And you'd fill it out with probably Sons of Eorl and Riders of the Red Shields, the Red Shield version. Yeah, them. Lots of them, lots of bows that ignore the bow limit, and some nice combat punch. And then for your next hero, I think Theodored will be my choice, simply because he's got Fight 5. Yes, he's got no fate, but he's not there to survive the games, he's there to do a bit of damage on the charge. And Fight 5 is a nice little stat line to have as well. Hopefully James will give you a much more in-depth answer. The way to play it would be to skirmish, as James does so well, and then charge in when it's viable for you to do so. Next up, we've got Matt Peterson. He says, hi guys, with the new releases of minis, do you think they'll be sold on the Games Workshop online store, or maybe just the Forge World site? Just because it's relatively more expensive to buy stuff from the Forge World site for us here at New Zealand, thanks. I would expect it to be on the Forge World site. If Forge World are making it, it makes sense that it's there. Although you might find some links from the Games Workshop website to the Forge World site. Next up, we've got Electius. Again, a great video. This week's question is about spiders. Would you rather take Shelob or the Spider Queen? Spider Queen for me. She's got might and she's brutal on the charge. Mirkwood spiders, giant spiders, or venomback spiders? Well, venomback spiders are better giant spiders, and Mirkwood spiders are trash, so venomback spiders, because rerolling all the wounds is grim. And can Shelob and or the Spider Queen with her broodlings benefit from Druzag's bestial fury? Yes, they can. Greetings from Rotterdam. Next up, we got That Guy 513. He says, when will we see hobby videos for assembling and painting Smaug? That's on James and Damien, and maybe Tom, but not me because I don't own Smaug. Next up, we've got Awesome Wargaming. He says, what does Middle-earth SBG mean for local hobby stores? Can I still buy, paint and play in Games Workshops? And would any new models be available for purchase in stores? Cheers guys, Finley. I'm certain, 100% certain, you'll still be able to buy, oh maybe not buy, you'll be able to play and paint in the local stores. However, I don't know is the answer for buying them. I doubt they would go to regular stores if it's Forge World. We'll find out, time will tell. Next up is Bradley Cobden. He says, hey guys, are either of you going to the return to Ravenstead in May? I won't be, no. I've had a very, very busy April and I'm really looking forward to having a weekend that I can just do nothing. And as much as I love Sam Page and his tournaments down south, it's a little bit too far for me to go nowadays. Sorry. But they sell out so fast that I probably wouldn't even get a chance to go anyway. Next up we got Son of Gloin. He says, hey fellas, hope you're well. A fantastically long episode last week. A nice boost in questions with Throne of Skulls. It was a very long episode. This one's only been going for 16 minutes. I'm flying through. Hopefully there'll be a long James video to counteract this so you can get your painting done. He says, I'm struggling at the moment to find time to paint and play. How do you guys find time to get things done? Do you set time aside and tell people you're busy, or just find snippets of time to do bits and pieces? Also, I'll start with that question. Well, I live with my housemate and I'm single, so time is something I can spend doing. What? That's not even a sentence. I can spend time doing things. I've got a lot of time. Although finding time to record is tough. That is tough. Just when you working 10-6 and then getting home about 7:30, time to record is few and far between. Also, do you find that you don't get much time for weekends, weeks on end? Okay. Also, do you find that you don't get time for weeks on end, not weekends? That was confusing, Son of Gloin. You got me there. Thanks again, much love, Son of Gloin. Yeah, I tend to find that I won't do anything for about a month or two, then I'll have a big hobby splurge, do lots of stuff, and then go back to nothing really. At the moment, I'm really waiting for something to really pique my interest. I've got the first bit of my Kickstarter for Panzerfaust, which I'm keen to build and paint up. Again, finding time to do all that is pretty tough. As the nights get longer, the days get longer, I might be more enthused to do it a bit more. And go out and paint in the garden, be nice. Next up, we've got Wartman RP. Wartman? That sounds disgusting. Thanks for answering my question last week, the first half anyways. As I noted before, I just got my Nova ticket. What are some tips, tricks or etiquette that may come in handy on the day of the Grand Tournament, or any tournament really? In other words, how can I keep myself from looking like an idiot or frustrating more experienced players? State intent. This is something I've learned from playing wargames for a long time, and more so from Guild Ball, and more recently Lord of the Rings as well, is state your intent of what you want things to be doing. So let's say you want to be just over 6 inches away from someone, measure it, show your opponent, see if they agree, and state that this model, I want to place this model 6 inches away, so you can't charge me next turn. That way, even if there is sort of, a bit of, oh, well, I think he's just in, when they put the measuring stick down next time, if he's been knocked, let's say, and been pushed forwards, you can say, well, remember last turn I said I wanted him to be 6 inches away and that's why I placed him there. He must have been knocked during the turn. State little things like that can help out. Also, when rolling to hit, say with mass shooting, pick up your misses, not your hits. If you can leave behind the hits, then your opponent can go, oh, you've missed that miss, basically. It just means that you can't be accused of or have the idea of someone cheating against you. Other than that, shake hands before the game, be friendly, try and make sure conversation is flowing between the players. Some of the most unenjoyable games is when your opponent won't sort of talk back to you, and then you just end up playing the game against them, and you don't really have any laugh or fun. I'm shattered from work. If you can't tell, my sentences are not making sense. Next up, we've got GFHFHFG. In regards to the license, it's curious what they can do. I was looking through my War of the Ring rulebook last night and came across the Council of Wizardry formation that contained the two blue wizards. So they can do it. Well, they might be able to. We shall see. I don't know what they got away with in War of the Ring, to be honest. Next up, we've got Cobbs1991. He says, just got back into the game after years out. It seems like I have rekindled my interest at the perfect time. I've really enjoyed your content and I've been slowly picking up some of the rules by watching it. I bought the Escape from Goblin Town box set a few weeks ago. How would you suggest getting back into playing the game? Are there lots of changes and additional rules added to it, such as special strikes? There have been some additional rules and some taken away that probably are all for the best, in my opinion. Played through those early scenarios. They're not very balanced. We've got a playlist on the channel that showcased Billy and I playing through them and showing how unbalanced they are. But they will teach you the heroics and the special strikes as you go. They're a great way to learn it. Ooh. Whew. Getting sleepy. Next up we've got Callum D. He says, thanks guys, at the moment I'm assembling my Dwarves of Erebor. It is a real shame that some of the company are almost mute in the films, but from what we know from the books and how they act on screen between each of you, which dwarf from the company do you think best fits your own personality the best? Own personality the best. I think James Nesbitt. Is it Bofa? Not the one with the axe sticking out of his head, but I think he that sort of the happy-go-lucky one of the dwarves and really looks out for Bilbo. I think that would probably match me, to be honest. James will say Dwalin. Which is the next question. God, there's lots to get through. Done that one. Next up, Sam Armstrong. He says, will you get free bacon with the new models? Because otherwise I'm out. No. Next up, Star Fox. I meant at the end when James Braun thanked Adam. Oh, yes, sorry, I thought you meant about that. Question. James, have you seen the new unreleased miniatures? And if so, what do you think of them? Especially not Aomer. He ain't here, so I can't answer that, sorry. King Bonsai says, I hope I didn't miss this. Just want to say, thanks for the content. I haven't watched this yet because of the content overload. Just don't want to lose the loop. Well, you've not. Watch the last video, watch this video, watch James' video if he does one, and then comment on one of them, or both of them. Next up is Crodecan. He says, hi guys, thanks for the great show. It seems that I'm now back in the loop. My question this week is about Gladriel, Lady of Light spell Fortify Spirit. In the GBHL FAQ, it refers to affecting multiple targets. Can this spell be cast on multiple targets at the same time? If you could clarify this, I will be a very happy man. Cheers, Mikhail. Not at the same time, but you could cast Fortify Spirit once on yourself, once the next turn on Alfred, once on Saruman, that kind of stuff. But it just remains in play until she runs out of will. Next up, we got Martin Smith. He says, hey guys, hope this post finds you well. I've been watching a few videos recently and have some stuff about... Oh, and I've seen some stuff about Chaos in Order. Did you play this at Nova? We did. It was very good fun, and I actually have the cards in one of my drawers for my hobby. I found them recently. If so, how was it? I know that the random objective cards in 40k has been popular and thought this could be a fun way to play. It was really good, except for the fact that we didn't have one of our objectives in the game, and I spent the game controlling that particular objective waiting to see that card pop up. It wasn't in the deck, so that was grim times for me. Next up, we've got Bryce Campbell. He says, my question this week is, do you know if Games Workshop is going to make and sell more physical copies of the rules? They did say that they'd like to get some more books out, so yes, I guess. Next up is Matthew Zumit. Not Matthew Zammit, Matthew Zumit. He says, hey guys, hope I made it in time for this week. Cool to see the duo back together as always. Interesting to see if you'll start using the screen for more battle reports for Hopgate's Gaming James. SPG question for this week. When calling a heroic move, can you perform magic spells during the actual heroic move? Yes, you can. And can you choose to move some models nearby the hero in their normal move phase, or must they all move within the heroic? Now they've all got to move in their heroic, or they sacrifice their movement. And Zomit is Maltese. It's a combination of Italian and Arabic. Next up, we got Dr. Trounce. He says, my question is, do you think Games Workshop will make any more Goblin Town figures, as it is a small army only having warriors, the Goblin King, Goblin Captain and Scribe and Grinner? Do you think they will expand this toy by adding Goblin Archers or anything else? We might see Goblin Archers, we might see Goblin Mercenaries. Fingers crossed we do, because that would be cool. Although I don't think it actually needs Goblin Archers, but Goblin Mercenaries would be nice. Next up is Halday88. He says, whoever disliked this video, go away and never come back. And Martin Smith says, I keep seeing that whoever it is must keep watching though. Likes and dislikes both help the video in YouTube's ratings, so it's fine. Next up's War. Again, he says, wow, we're so excited I never actually submitted a question. If I'm not too late. Middle-earth, Strategy Battle Gaming, A New Hope. What rumours of a tweaked... What rumours of a new tweaked rulebook in the future of the hobby was curious to see. What? With rumours of a new tweaked rulebook in the future of the hobby was curious to see. Okay, was curious to see. Number 1, what current rules need a tweak and why? And what would you suggest? Take away the movement penalty on thrown weapons. It has taken them out of the game from just... Oh, it's just horrible with them now. Any new rule you'd like to see introduced? No, I can't, on the spot, can't think of a new rule that I'd like to see introduced. The one that's been bandied around ever since Warband was introduced was to have the bigger heroes be able to lead more troops. It would make sense that Aragorn can effectively lead more men than Beregond, for example. As always, thank you for the inspiration, fellows. Next up is Mr. David Whittaker, Mr. T-Toast. He says, with Dale and Erebor now having armies and models from the movies, a campaign based on the Easterlings attacking that area during the War of the Ring would be very cool. Dane and Bard II's last stand at the gates of Erebor would be an awesome scenario, and I agree, I'd love to see that. And it also fits in with the idea of the Lonely Mountain. Next up we got Buck Rogers. It says, hope the Forge World price is not as insane as usual, thanks for the videos. Hopefully not, is all I can say there too. Andreas says, new scenarios, that might screw up my entire grand campaign. Yeah, it might. In case you don't know, guys, go check out Andreas' YouTube channel, because he is going through all the Lord of the Rings scenarios from the very first timeline all the way to the end. He says, frantically painting my Desolation and Stockport army to be ready in time. Looking forward to meeting up with all the people I've had so much fun with, but have never met next week. Yeah, it's only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but 5 days away. Oh, grim. That's very close. Okay. Finally, we've got Mike T. He says, hi all, I love this podcast. How do I go about getting a question answered by these guys? They are great ambassadors for the hobby. You asked it in last week's Speak Friendly question. James posted it in this week's. We've answered it. All you do is comment below. And, well, I've absolutely smashed this. It's what, about half an hour? Yeah. So, as ever guys, thanks for watching. It's a short one. I did it on my own. What did you expect? Be sure to comment, like, share and subscribe. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Support the hosts by clicking the links below. And I shall see you again next week.